Hello friends, my name is Srinivas and I welcome you to my channel Coding Skills. As part of this video, we will learn how to store a record in a database using Hibernate framework. So let's see what are the changes that needs to implement in order to achieve the requested functionality. Before getting into the details, so if you observe this one, downloading from external resource is disabled in Hibernate DTD. So I forgot to mention about this specific error in my previous video. Basically, whenever you start working on the Hibernate for the first time, you might see this error in the Hibernate configuration file because if it was not able to download the DTD references. Hence, what we need to do is we need to go to Window, Preferences, select Maven, and you need to check that. By default, it will be unchecked if you see that error. We need to make it as checked. So it is going to download all the artifacts related to it. You just need to click on the apply and close. And this is only one-time task. Okay. So let's see how to create a recording database. For that, first we need to do is we need to create a student Java class, which I have already created. So this student class has public class student. So student class, I'm going to deal with the three properties: ID, name, and age. So private int ID, private string name, and private int age. These are the three parameters which are holding the three properties which are holding as part of the student object. So if you observe here, for the name and age, I do not have any kind of a annotations which are defined, but whereas for ID, I have defined some annotation. The reason is we need to tell it is a ID property, and at the same time, what is the generation value and the kind of a strategy. So strategy is generation type dot identity. So this is going to generate the unique IDs while saving a student record. And for these two, so we have not configured any annotations, and all the remaining properties are basic the POSIX properties like constructor and the default constructor and the parameter constructor and all the setter and getters for your the properties whatever you are defined. And the very first line here is we are telling it is an entity and the table name of this particular entity name equal to students. What exactly this does is this is the database table name in the underlying database. So we can have any database name whenever you are working for this particular saving of the record for the first time. You can have table name of your choice. So whatever the name that you are mentioning here, it is going to create a table name dynamically with that name and start saving the record. So these are the basic important annotations. And as we are using the latest version of Hibernate, we are saying the packages are like Jakarta dot. Otherwise, in the older version of Hibernate, you will see like JPA annotations, which are a little older, but we are going with the latest approaches. Once we are done with the student.java, we need to make the student Java reference in your Hibernate configuration file. Where exactly student.java exists? It is exist under com.examples.entity package. So in Hibernate configuration file within your session factory, we need to make an entry mapping class equal to whatever the class name is com.examples.entity.the student. This is my student class mapping. Once we are done with this reference, it's time to code the actual logic. In app.java, so we have created a save student method. The save student is instantiated a scanner to read some data from the input stream. Printed a message on the console requesting a enter a name. String student name equal to sc.next line. The same way printed a message on the console to read age. Int student is equal to sc.next int. Once you have both student name and age, we are trying to create a constructor with the available constructors. The student object equal to new student, the student name and age. And transaction object equal to null. So as we are trying to save a record, right? So we are dealing with some transactions within a database. So we started with a transaction. So as we are working with some kind of a core operations, we need to wrap everything in the try catch block. Try block session equal to hibernate util dot get session factory at open section. If you remember, hibernate util dot get session factory is the utility method that we have already coded in the hibernate util dot java in my previous session. So same thing we are using here. Once we retrieve that hibernate session factory, so this is the method we are calling, which will give us hibernate session factory. So once we got the session factory, all we need to do is we just need to open a session. That's what we are doing here. Open a session. Once we got the session object, so transaction equal to session dot begin transaction and session dot persist the student object. Transaction dot commit. After that, we are printing student saved successfully. So just created the transaction, saved a record, and completed the transaction. That's all. If you see any kind of issue as part of execute this try block, there is a catch block is coded here. If transaction not equal to null, we need to roll back the transaction, right? Because if the transaction should be completely saved and successful, otherwise it should be rolled back. So we are also printing a stack trace here. Here, if you observe session.persist, there is other methods to save a student object. For example, just save. So if you observe here, it is striked. So these are the deprecated method, which are the older version. We don't want to go with that method. So hence I'm going with the required and possible methods. Let's run this program. Before running it, I'll show you the database for your reference. This is my database and Postgres database and the public schema and tables. Right now, if you look into my tables, I don't have any tables. So let's run this program now. So student saved successfully. Let's look at the data in the backend. So there is one table got created. Let's see the data inside it. So we see that primary key one is generated with the student age and the person name. How the table got created. So if you look at the console, see drop table if exist student cascade. So create a table student. So it is creating dynamically as and when this program is executed, it is creating a table and is also saving a record. Let's run this program. Before running it, I'll show you one property. Here, this is the property it is dealing of creating a table and everything. See here, HPM to DDL means Hibernate to data definitional. So this is automatic with a create drop. So what exactly it does is this is going to create and as well as it is going to drop. If you run this program again, so what happens? I'll show you. So drop table if exists and also create table, right? So let's go back to now we are saying only one record. The reason is the whatever the record which got saved in my previous expression, it was lost as per the property. If you observe here, it is dropping the table if it exists and is also creating a new table. So every time whenever you try to run the same program, it is going to drop the existing table and it's going to create the new one. So which we do not want to happen. So what we can do, either we can remove this property or else there are certain values for this property which we can use. For example, update, validate and various values which I'll be discussing down the line. So for that, I'm going to comment this property for now because we don't want to lose the data again and again. Now let's run the program again. This time you will see the data and you will not see the drop statement. The record set circle, if you see here, you don't see a drop statement and you don't see a grade statement. See that this was the record created in the previous iteration, and this was the new record that what you handed as part of this the latest execution. This is how we can save a simple record. And here, if you observe here, it is printing all these queries here based on the property what we have mentioned here. Show SQL true. Suppose if it was false, it will not print all the queries here. So, but it's always recommended to print the queries whenever you start working on the development environment, which are more important to understand what kind of query is being issued to the backend in the background. Please like the video and share it with your friends. In case if you are looking for any specific program, please do let me know in the comment section below. I'll try to make that video as early as possible. Thank you very much. Bye.